they don't want MLS to act like real clubs and look out for their own interests. They want MLS to just get on board and all be pushing in the same direction. And the Sounders are saying, hey, we'll let you have him for 10 days. And US Soccer's like, well, we need him for 14. Who's the bad guy there, right?
Hey, Jeremiah, the next topic we wanted to hit with you is this Jackson Ragen content that came out. I actually, Noah just told me about it before we went live, so I haven't read it yet. But I think that actually creates a good opportunity for those of us who are not in the know about this. It sounds like from the headline that Jackson Ragen was a little bit tilted about not going to USMNT camp. Is that accurate, or what? Tell us what's going on with that.
All right, so I'll give you the background of it first, and I'll tell it linearly. But my understanding of what happened is the Sounders were told at the end of the season that Jackson was probably in line for a January call-up, and they were thrilled about that. They were stoked. And so U.S. Soccer, the way that they oftentimes work with these things is they tell the player first, and then they sort of then they go and get approval from the team. And I think that's what happened here, where they basically told Jackson, like, hey, you're coming up to January, pack your bags. We'll see you in, I don't know, wherever they are, Miami or something.
Fort Lauderdale.
And that was a good guess though, right? Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I was just free shooting that. But anyway, so they tell him, and then they reach out to the Sounders and they're like, all right, so we're going to call in Jackson. And the Sounders like, oh, cool. We just need him back by the 19th. And the U.S. Soccer's like, well, we have a game on the 22nd. And the Sounders were like, well, that's your problem. That's not our problem. We need him back on the 19th. We're going to Spain. He's got to come to Spain with us. And U.S. Soccer's like, oh, well, forget it then. We don't need him. And so the Sounders then had to call Jackson. This seems like what happened is the U.S. Soccer was like, all right, well, you deal with it. And so the Sounders had to tell Jackson, like, yeah, sorry, you're not going to camp. And so that was sort of how it went. And then today was the first time we had a chance to talk to Jackson. And I knew about this. I asked him how he's feeling, and he gave an honest answer. He basically said, I was stoked. I was bummed because he got called in last year and he had to leave camp early because he had hurt his knee against LAFC in the playoffs and basically didn't clear his physical with the U.S. national team. And so they sent him home. And so he was really bummed about that. And he had sort of set a personal goal to get back to the U.S. national team. He's a player who understandably, I think justifiably, feels like he deserves a shot to at least compete for a spot on the World Cup team in 2026. And on paper, I think that's a totally realistic goal for him. And so when he got told that he was going back to, he goes and has this great season. He's Defender of the Year finalist. He almost made the best 11 down the list, right? And so he was stoked. He felt like he had sort of, he had completed his arc, his hero arc, and he was all into it. And so he said, I was disappointed. I'm frustrated. And yeah, I don't really want to, it's still a little raw. So I don't really want to say anything else. And so he essentially cut off the conversation. So we weren't really able to, I guess we could have pressed him on it, but we didn't press him on it to sort of respect. I mean, he literally said, I'm done talking about it. I don't want to take any more questions on this. I think those are the literal words he says. I don't want to take any more questions on this. Whether or not he's mad at the Sounders or he's mad at U.S. Soccer or he's just mad in general and he doesn't really blame anybody, he just doesn't like the circumstances, I can't tell you. But he was clearly like emotionally, like he's mad. He's genuinely mad, I think, about this situation. I can't tell you who he blames, but he's not chill.
I mean, I can't believe that U.S. Soccer appears to have mismanaged a situation. It's a federation that has a reputation for being like it's the
most level-headed.
It's a beacon of competence, and just every time they get it right. So
and I think sort of the thing that I think is very funny about this. Well, this part is not funny. It's a very similar situation to what happened with Jordan Morris during the Olympics last year, where the federation said we'd want Jordan for the Olympics, and Jordan was stoked and he was ready to go. And then they call the Sounders and they're like, hey, we need Jordan. And they're like, sweet, you can have him for a week before the Olympics and then for as long as the Olympics go. And U.S. Soccer was like, no, we need him for 2 weeks before the games because this is an important tournament for us. So
that was so real, by the way. So important for them.
Right, exactly. And so he didn't get to go. And so the Sounders, I guess, end up being, I don't know if Jordan was mad at the Sounders or what, but he ended up getting paid, so whatever. But so it's a similar situation. And I just think it's funny that, U.S. soccer has the last year, going before the Olympics, they've been sort of going on this public relations thing where they tell everybody, we really want to work with MLS. We want to be partners with MLS on all this stuff. And we want to be good partners. And but in reality, what it is they want MLS to just do whatever they want. They don't want MLS to act like real clubs and look out for their own interests. They want MLS to just get on board and all be pushing in the same direction. But as soon as U.S. soccer is asked to compromise even a little, like, I think it's a pretty good, to me, if I'm the mediator in this situation and the Sounders are saying, hey, we'll let you have him for 10 days, and U.S. soccer is like, well, we need him for 14. Who's the bad guy there, right?
Definitely the Seattle Sounders, obviously.
Right.
They're the
exactly. And I mean, and I will add this little bit of context. So the U.S. is playing 2 games. I don't remember who they're playing. The teams they're playing are not having full camps. They are basically pulling anyone they can get just so they can get a payday to play this game. These are C-level teams of C-level teams.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, like, the whole thing is so dumb. And, like, I feel bad for Jackson because someone pointed it out in the chat here. He is, here it is. He's the USMNT's best center back that's playing currently. Like, that's real.
I mean, he's definitely the best American, or the best MLS-based center back. I don't know the pool well enough to say beyond that, but I think he's better than Walker Zimmerman and Tim Ream, who are the other two. And I guess might be Miles Robinson. I don't know. He's probably better than Miles Robinson, too. Miles Robinson missed most of last year, didn't he?
Jedi's a bot, dude.
I would take Jackson Ragen over Miles.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that is... I wish I could say that I'm shocked to hear that, but I'm not. Jesus Ferreira is leaving USMNT camp early? ?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, U.S. Soccer actually put out U.S. Soccer is actually usually pretty transparent about this stuff. They put out a release. At first, I thought, whatever.
Is there anything worth reading into for Ferreira release due to fitness issues? I hadn't heard that. Was that why he got...
Yeah, that's what it says, is that it said that he was... Here's what it says. It says, after an initial medical and physical evaluation, Ferreira was provided an individual training program and will now join the Seattle Sounders so that he can focus on returning to full fitness. That's like a very shade. They're throwing a lot of shade, it feels like. And
they're saying he's fat.
I mean, I wouldn't.
They're basically just antagonizing the Seattle Sounders as a club is what they're doing right
basically,
now.
Yeah, so I don't know. You can read between the lines how you want. I suspect the Sounders were not that upset to find out that Ferreira is coming back. I mean, let's layer on another complicating factor. The U.S. plays these 2 games at the end of they've been training for 8 or 9 days. They play the first one, and then they train for a few more days, and they play the second one. And these are games that are, sure, they're friendlies, and like I said, they're against questionable opponents, but the chance for injury is real. Like, these players are out there trying to impress coaches. This is, for most of these guys, this is maybe their best chance to be seen by the U.S. national team coaches. You think they're going in there and just jogging around? You think they're treating it like the early days of training with their club? No, they're going into tackles. They're fighting. They're doing all this kind of stuff. There is a very real chance that, early in their preseason process, that they could suffer an injury. So that Jesus Ferreira isn't up to that speed, I don't know. Who cares? I don't care. He doesn't get him up to speed in a month. He's got to... I don't, unless he's hurt, which there's no indication, by the way, I want to be clear. There's absolutely nothing in this release that suggests that he's actually hurt. They do seem to be saying he's out of shape, which, I don't know, whatever.
That's shade. That's shade.
But also, I
don't like this. I don't like this Seattle antagonism that I'm hearing from U.S. Soccer towards the Seattle Sounders. What the hell? All they're doing is trying to give them players that might actually help their really bad team.
It's the, unfortunately the federation is run by the bots, and the bots run the federation, and it's great for content, but I do feel bad because it's ridiculous.
I don't like it. Doesn't sit well with me.